Well, hi there, everyone. My name's Tom Scott. I'm the CEO of Tide Changer Consulting, and it's great to be with you here today with Tony Centurión, an ex-client who had the opportunity to study at the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Tom. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate it. So, Tony, in your case, I'd like to talk about a couple of things with you. One, obviously, is your time at Oxford, but two, your time as a Chevening Scholar, because you were fortunate enough to receive the UK Chevening Scholarship.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Tom. I went to Oxford in 2018, from 2018 to 2019. I studied the Master's in Law and Finance, or sometimes we say the Master's in Finance and Law, depending on if you decide to take the law stream or the finance stream. And yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience, not only because that specific program, as you know, allows you to study not only law, but finance, and study with MBAs and people that are also studying a master's in finance and a master's in economics. So that way you broaden even more your network, and not only your network, but like start actually questioning yourself about your professional career, your professional path, and what you really want to do. I guess that about the experience in Oxford is great. You know, it's a great city, it's a great university. You get to know people that study things that you didn't even know that existed or could exist. That way, broadening and opening your mind in amazing ways. But also, it made me question if myself as a lawyer, I was being too probably narrow-minded about only following like the by the book path, not only by the type of conversations that I had with very talented people, very smart people, and very driven. I think that's the most amazing thing: the driven people. Smart people, you can find whatever, but the drive that you find there, it's amazing.
That's an interesting point, Tony. You were working in a top tier law firm in Mexico before you went to the master's program. What motivated you to choose a program like the MLF at Oxford?
Well, most of the people in law firms try to go mainly to LLMs if they want to continue their career in law firms. I was not certain if I wanted to move to make a lateral move to business. Mainly because I didn't know anything about business, and I didn't know if I had that entrepreneurial side of myself. So I think the MLF allowed me to take a somehow conservative move in case I wanted to continue my career in a law firm, but at the same time explore that business or finance or even more risky maths oriented side of myself, which really changed the way I think. While I was studying in Oxford, I did a summer internship in a real estate development company, working as an analyst, running financial models, running some numbers, etc. Something that would have been unthinkable for me when I left the law firm. And since then, I have started my own real estate development company. That is a very boutique company, but is growing little by little. I partnered actually with two guys that studied in Cambridge, and I met them through Oxford. Both of them are Mexican. So that's one of the things that Oxford really helped me, and the experience there. Not only, honestly, not the things that you learn in class, which are some of them very valuable, but mostly by how curious you are about what's surrounding you. That is so much that you really need to focus on what really your intuition tells you that you should focus on.
Thanks. And when I talk to lawyers who are interested in pursuing a master's, you mentioned LLM versus taking this MLF route. What advice would you give to a lawyer who's perhaps thinking, do I join Oxford's MDure master's program, which is more like an LLM, or joining the MLF? If you were to rewind the clock, what do you wish you had known a couple of years back when you were applying?
Honestly, as you know, after I finished in Oxford, I went to work to a big law firm in New York as a foreign associate. And back in the day, I didn't know if I was very certain that I wanted to return to Mexico. But after having worked in New York, I questioned myself if I wanted to stay there and practice law forever, or if I wanted to actually focus or devote my entire time to my new company. So what I would advise is, one, try, I know it's very difficult, but try to know where you want to work, where you want to live. If you want the chance to work in the US, that honestly is not that difficult to find, or at least given the current situation of the market, is not that difficult to find a job if you sat for the bar in New York or in California or in Texas, for example. If you want to live there, I think, and if you're sure that you want to be a lawyer most of your life, I think the election is quite straightforward. Do an LLM, enjoy your time in New York, enjoy your time in Harvard or whatever you go. If you're not certain about that and you want to become a better finance lawyer, understand more business things, and probably have both careers as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, and also as a lawyer, I think the option of the MLF is the best one. At least it was for myself.
Yeah.
If I could go back, I would do exactly the same. Probably after being in New York, stay there to pursue an LLM to sit for the bar, which is quite annoying that you have to pursue an LLM there in order to be eligible, right? But I think if you want to have both options, business and law, the MLF is rather great. No?
So I remember when you were applying, one of the things that you were really interested was this cross-pollination with MBA students at Oxford. Is that something that really happened? And if so, what were some of the benefits you got from that?
It happens, but it happens it's not as if you become a member of the MBA cohort, of course. You become a member of certain, it's the same in the MLF. Everyone knows each other. Everyone tries to like each other, or at least be cautious about it. But not everyone is like really networked, right? So that happened with me and the MBAs that I'm friends with. Like I met them either at the gym, rather having drinks or whatever. And we either hit it off or we were like, my name is Tony Centurión, and that's it. So I think you're in contact with the MBAs, yes. You have access to all of the materials of the MBAs, yes. You can hear any lecture of the MBAs and the Masters in Finance and the Masters in Economics, yes. Networking wise, I think as you know, the cohorts of MBAs are so big that you end up making and I think it's the healthiest thing to do, very punctual relationships with the people that you either personally hit it off or that are in areas similar to yours. Naturally, I hit it off with some people that were unrelated to what I do, and with some others that are totally related to real estate or law or construction or whatever, right?
Sure. That's really interesting. So something people are really keen to know often is what impact a master's will actually have on their career. How would you say the MLF has impacted your own career personally and helped you progress?
I mean, I think we would have to divide the answer in several parts, no? I mean, naturally, well, not naturally, but very probably financially it's gonna impact your career because you're gonna your entry level at any company is any company or any, I don't know, whatever you do, is probably gonna be better with a better salary. You're gonna be able to somehow leverage more your negotiation in order to be hired by a company. That's in a career level, right? Also, it opens up a little bit more options. Either if, in my case, if you want to be a big law firm lawyer, or if you want to be a company lawyer, or if you want to go to the business side, that's also something that opens up with after you finish your master's degree. In a personal level, which I think is the most interesting, it opens an entire universe. I think that really the masters, when people say that something changes your life, It sounds quite cliche. It rings a bell of something very doubtful, or maybe that someone is just saying something for saying it. But I do think that a master's degree really changes your life, because it opens up a world and many opportunities that you didn't think that you had on your own, and also with the people that you meet, either as a either in the masters or as a consequence, because also you become a member of a club, not only the club of Oxford alumni, but a club in Mexico, that if someone has a master's degree in Harvard or in anything else, and you're sitting with them, at least when you say that you have a master's degree in a good university or whatever, at least you have something in common that you can talk about. And I think that that's also quite valuable, no?
That's interesting. One final question I have about Oxford is a concern some people have, is that it's going to be really, really academic, and there's not going to be a lot of opportunity to apply things to practice. Did you find that the MLF program gave you a good balance between doing academic work and working on things that were directly related to your job and practice?
I mean, I think I mean, as you know, my background is Escuela Libre de Derecho and Oxford, and I think both of them are pretty academic, right? But I mean, having said that, I do think that the practical sense, or the practical appliance of things that you learn, it's on you. Like, yeah, they can give you case studies or give you examples of real life, etc. But if you don't read on your own, if you don't try to practice on your own, if you don't look for the opportunity to find a summer internship to work on, or start your own company and apply the knowledge that you have, and you really want only the books to have examples, that probably you're not gonna get in many places. We did get like a lot of theory, but also like I mean, most of the people in Oxford are academics for sure. Most of them haven't practiced like in massive investment funds, or some of them have. Actually, one of them, Ken Okamura, was a rather stunning example. He's a Japanese man that grew up in the UK. He opened his own hedge fund and retired very young, and he's now entirely devoted to academia, and I think he's like early 50s or something like that. With him, you would get a universe of theory and practice. And with the other people, mostly theory. But what you try to do, if you are practice oriented, is try to either chat with your pals and find the practical way of applying it, or just work and do it. So I don't think that's a downside of a school rather than an upside. No?
Sure.
But that's my point of view. Maybe I'm very academic oriented because of my background, right?
Sure. Like I said, it's about finding the fit for whatever you really like at the end of the day. So, Tony, let's move on and talk about Chevening, because you were fortunate enough to receive the UK Chevening Scholarship. Tell us, what was your experience like being a Chevening Scholar for one year in the UK?
Well, at the beginning, it was very nice, because first of all, it makes you feel a little bit like you're in a little bit of a comfort zone, knowing that there are so many, again, driven people coming from very different backgrounds, very different upbringings, very different professions, roles, etc. But are as excited as you are, and as not scared, but as uncertain about what's about to happen. So it makes you feel as part of a very, very close community that is going to the same place together, as part of the same troop. The truth is that once you're in the UK, there's a lot of communication between the members of the Chevening, well, the alumni of Chevening that are at that time in the UK. And naturally, when the group is so big, you end up bonding with certain people. What specifically happened to me is that I made very, very good 5 friends found 5 friends that are still very close to me. I actually have every once in a while drinks, coffee with them, etc. But the most interesting thing, again, as it happened to me in Oxford, it happened to me in Chevening, is that the closest friends that I made in Chevening were not lawyers, were not businessmen, were from totally different areas. And what that creates is that they help me like bond with other Cheveners that I either didn't really get to know or I didn't really connected with. And also it's a contact in Mexico to bond with, for example, doctors. Every time that I have a question or I need someone in the medical field, I go to a couple of friends from Chevening that are like that. And that's it. I think, and you know, they're one of the best professionals in their niche in Mexico that you have for granted. No.
Sure. Would you say that Chevening's helped you develop your career then, or is it more of the networking aspect that's the benefit?
The network aspect for sure. I mean, one, the fact that you get the Chevening Scholarship helps you ease a lot of difficulties of financial difficulties in the masters. Two, again, personally, you feel you're not only backed by the university, but backed by Chevening. And if you really need something, you know that you have someone to go to and they're really gonna help because they're really close. It helps you expand your network.
Sure.
And I think that honestly, when you add that to your CV and you say that the government of the UK granted you a scholarship, it also adds a lot to your CV because it's a rather there are a lot of applicants, as you know, and very few get it. It's a very long and very sophisticated somehow process to get to the exact profile of the then with the policy, because they have also certain agenda, right? Depending on the moment, like depending on the relationships between Mexico. Back in the day, it was like the energy and oil reform had just happened, so that was one of the main areas, etc. So it changes, and it's very difficult to actually get it. It's about timing as well.
Sure. So what do you wish you had known before you applied about the application process?
I wish I had known Tom Scott before I did it, before I started jumping. No, I mean, I think that once you get I mean, one, I didn't know anything about the questions that they had. No, I had to get in touch with some alumni. I got in touch with you, and once you start working and cleaning up and really building your personal statements for both the universities and for Chevening, you start realizing that once you put your storytelling in order in appropriate words, really find your strengths and also your weaknesses, because it's very important to pinpoint your weaknesses. I think that's very human and very transparent, and I think that that's a very common mistake in application. I mean, you're the expert, but like only trying to look like a superhero but not pinpointing what's wrong with you or what do you think it's a weak spot. I wish I had known that before. I think the most difficult part of the application to Chevening, and I think it's meant to be that way, that's why it's done that way, is to find really what your leadership skills are, what your leadership flaws are, and put that in your essays and your interview. What your networking skills are, if you have any, and if you don't have, how you plan to address or improve or actually get some of them. So I think I wish I had known that before trying to appear as a superhero in front of everyone.
That's a really fascinating reflection, Tony. Thank you. I have just two more questions, and one is connected to the previous one. What advice would you give to someone thinking of applying to Chevening today?
today we're okay. One, start preparing everything with enough time. Again, think about your strengths, weaknesses, and how you would improve them. Having a strategy. If you don't think you have like the right CV, etc., it's never too late to start something else, make some publications, get in touch with people. That's why time is very important to prepare this, to get the right CV, the right recommendation letter, reference letters, and finally hire someone to proofread or guide you through it. Ideally, Tom Scott, but if not, at least get in touch with someone that has applied to Chevening and that can tell you how legit or how natural your essays flow. I think it's very important because if they are very artificial, your interviews are gonna be probably very artificial. Again, if you pass to that phase, right?
Yeah, I think it's great advice. And if I look back over the last few years of candidates we've helped, something that we've noticed amongst the ones who've been most successful getting to interview and actually getting the scholarship tend to be those who have really invested time in getting to know current Cheveners, alumni, and even attend the events if they can.
I went to the events. Sorry to interrupt, but I went to I think literally all of the events for like a year or so. I mean, they have a lot, but there are not so many as to like interfere with the ordinary course of your life or your business. So it's very useful to go to get there, to also get the vibe, because once you get the vibe, you understand first if you match with the vibe, and two, what's the vibe that you're gonna get probably if you get interviewed, right? So first you need to say, okay, I vibe with this, I want to apply. And then you naturally flow with it. So I agree with it. I mean, you know it, Tom. I think I approached you initially because I was having troubles with the reading part of the IELTS because it was really weird. And then, but that must have been literally January or February of the year before the applications opened on November or something like that.
Yeah.
The other day I was checking the dates and it's crazy. We worked on it for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think that represents the investment people should make in these processes, because as you say, not many people get this. I think here in Mexico, it's 1 or 2% of those who apply are actually successful. In some of the other countries through Latin America, it's an equally low percentage. So if you're not prepared to put in the effort, it's hard to be surprised if the result is not what you want.
Absolutely. And
so
it's
one
totally
final
worth
question,
it.
Tony.
Sorry to say it.
No,
it's totally worth it. I mean, if you think that, like, because most of the times, like after I ended my day work in the law firm, I either went back to my apartment or stay in the law firm after like 9, like, I mean, not crazy times, but like from 9 to 11 or something like that, to work a little bit on it, reflect on it, or start from scratch, because that was one of your recommendations. Like, if you really don't like what you're writing here, start from scratch. Don't try to build it up again or correct it. So that entire time, many times you're gonna think it's like, oof, is it really worth it? This is a pain. It's really exhausting. I see many professional, like older people that are just fine without going, etc. Honestly, I can't imagine my life right now if I hadn't done it. And I'm very happy with that investment, right?
Sure. Excellent. Nice to know that it had such an impact. So one final question, Tony, that I'd like to ask. What did you enjoy most about your year in the UK, living there and enjoying the British culture?
I think it would be unfair to say just one thing. I think it's, I don't know, like when I think I can sum it up whenever I have a very tough day, whenever I'm having a very long work day or any difficulty, etc., and I need to go to my happy places. One of them is for sure those days in law school, and I have very close friends now. I have very happy memories. I have very happy places there that I can go whenever, and I have a good career that I can somehow pursue thanks in part to the master. So I think that's it. It's a happy place to be. It's a happy experience, and I'm very happy to have done it.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. For anyone interested in knowing more about Tony's story, we'll be actually publishing some of this video in some of our guides for law schools and for the Chevening Scholarship. So feel free to download those and read more about it. But Tony, thank you so much.
Not at all, anytime, Tom.